just wanna ride down the road when things are not working my way. I just need your love, baby girl. Come take my hand and run away. I just wanna ride down the road when things are not working my way. I just need your love, baby girl. Come take my hand and run away. Down the road when things are not working my way. I just need your love, baby girl. Come take my hand and run away. I just wanna ride down the road when things are not working my way. I just need your love, baby girl. Come take my hand and run away.
The loving in my heart won't break in two. I never wanna say that we are through. I'm holding on to what we still have left. And yeah, you know me. The love I give is the love I got. So don't walk away. Don't just leave it all just to watch it fade away.
So yeah, by the way, what are we waiting for?
Tryna get my attention, tryna get your redemption. But now that I'm gone, you want me back. Yeah, I gave you everything, gave you a diamond ring to watch it fall from your head. I don't wanna love again, 'cause I'll be living with regret. I
Testing. Hello. Uh, Hello, everyone, and welcome to the BetaCast New Media Season Finale. I'm your host, as usual, José Rocha, the acceleration expert from BetI. So, let's start by saying that this is a space where BetI invites interesting people to discuss inspirational and exciting topics around innovation and collaboration. We wanted to change the way that we approach, so we decided to make seasons, and you can be a part of it, regardless of the background, professional, or market sector. Exactly because innovation is about diversity. Otherwise, there's nothing to be told. And this is the final episode of this new media season. And we couldn't have a hotter topic than this at this moment. And to wrap it up, we are not only going to bring back our two previous interviewers for this season, that is David Pena del Rio, one of the founders of Peoople, the app that will let users to discover the best recommendations from friends and the best influencers, and Fred Castro, founder of the successful agency Sounded and also Seekers Club. But also this super smart lady, Carolina Pereira, that is a co-founder of the Tipping Up movement, which aims to mobilize and train a new generation of media activists. And she is also a Portuguese ambassador on hashtag E4She, a project mobilizing young people for gender equality and LGBTQ rights. Remember, guys, you can interact with us. We are live. We have questions. You can go there. You can make the questions. I'll ask the questions to them, and let's make an interaction here. So, David, Carolina, and Fred, thank you so much again for being here. I don't know if you guys want to say something to start.
Thanks, Jose, for inviting me to join this outstanding panel of people to talk about these things. I'm so pleased to share my thoughts and ideas with you. So really hope to spend this really a great moment with you all, guys.
Thank you, David. It's a pleasure. Also, always a pleasure to have you here.
Yeah, let's go in my thoughts. I'm ready. Thank you so much, and I'm very honored to be with these three wonderful people. Two I knew, David I'm knowing now, and so let's go. Let's make it happen.
Yeah, same. Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting.
So thank you all again for being here. So let's start by saying that it is impossible not to close this new media season, especially this week, without talking about, all of these things that are happening around the world. From the corona response, from the racism that is happening around the world, from President Donald Trump trying to make censor on Twitter. Everything that's going on happens because social medias, the new media exists. So they are basically dictating the pace of this global conversation. So I want to ask you, so what is your vision of this almost absolutism, and by saying this almost everything must be in here, role of digital formats in society at this moment? So, David, do you want to go first?
Sorry, please. Well, in my opinion, as you explained very well, Jose, I really like what your idea on it. I think this is all happening thanks to the new media that is that just arose 10, 12 years ago. And I don't know if something of all this could be happened if we wouldn't have with us the opportunity of what is happening. We had situations like this before. Everything that went on in the Maghreb countries in the north of Africa. To me, I'm very surprised of course for how for the things that are going on, for the response of the people. It's really moving me a lot. but the implication of the social media platforms in this phenomenon, it's not very surprising for me. It's just the proof of the role, is the proof that demonstrates that the role of the traditional media platforms are really in defending their own interests, being participated by the establishment, by banks, by big corporations and the stuff. And it is definitely putting the focus in where the information is right now, and where you as a human being should be if you want to be informed.
Yeah.
And that's basically my point.
Yeah, right.
Cardina.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's not about new media anymore. I think it's it's the media, and media and communication have become increasingly powerful, and definitely like a tipping point for social, climate, cultural, and political movements. I mean,
Yeah.
from electing representatives to joining campaigns, supporting protests, understanding causes, rights, or injustice. And all of these, it's informed by images, sounds, and words that are delivered by screens, both big and small. So, I mean, from just Me Too, or We Strike, or Never Again, or recently Black Lives Matter, social activists, and I'm talking about social activism just because it's more where I'm working, but it's use this power of the internet to pressure powerful organizations. And so it's just, I don't think it's a small sector, or like it's the new media, or even like I don't believe in a online and offline world. I think it's really it's just the same, it's just you are living the offline world, but totally influenced by what's going on online, and the online give us the power, of course, to influence our daily lives on the offline. So yeah, totally agree with you, David. I was just hearing.
Yeah, let me just add on that, Zed, that for me, I was just here searching, what happened yesterday with Blackout Tuesday. And you have 28.8 million posts on Instagram from yesterday. And so for me, I think that the new media, and I agree with what you just said. I think it's media now,
Yeah.
For me, the most interesting thing is that it gives power to the individual. Every single person can have a voice, and also because of that, every single person can start a movement. 99% of the movements won't even start. But I mean, yesterday I just saw my feed on Instagram. Everyone that I follow was posting the black picture, and we don't even know how it started. I mean, I at least I don't know. Maybe it was a kid from somewhere that posted it, and it got fired. It got some fire. So
it started with,
for me, is amazing.
It started with, if I'm not mistaken, with two musicians, musical. Okay.
Yeah.
It started with them, and then it rolled up to being what it became.
And then it just spreads, and you don't even know how it started. So it's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and all of this is happening, and I want to bring another topic that. Well, let's look at the United States, because they will push the pace of what's happening eventually. And we have a guy like Donald Trump, that is the president of the United States, as you all know. And he makes a tweet. And, Twitter have a thing that is called to fact check everything. And they basically said what he told is not completely true. So there are some lies there. Basically, that's what the system is for. And he went to the public and said they are going to pay and so on. So tell me, how do you see this? The government's trying to control this new media, what they can say, what they cannot say, and if social media should have an opinion, and if Twitter should be able to do this or not, if they are fact checking the president of the United States, just imagining how crazy this is. So this is basically about corporates versus government in some strange way. So give me your intakes here. I don't know, Carolina, do you want to go first here?
Yeah, of course. So I would say that, I mean, so traditional media has the credibility, but it lacks diversity. And so with social media, and I'm pro citizen journalism, but the thing is, when I say this, usually people think that I'm pro, like, not fact checking and stuff like that, and that's not what it's about. It's just I'm pro to have more perspectives and more angles. And the thing is, traditional media, usually we would wait for, I don't know, CNN to get there to have some images, and they portray the reality. And even with these protests, we have like a lot of examples of that happening. Like, they cut the videos, they edit, and nowadays we have those raw perspectives, and that, in my opinion, brings truth to our perspectives. But of course, we cannot, like, we need to learn how to use this. Like, I feel that social media is growing a lot, and citizen journalism can, or if we, like, I mean, citizen journalism in general, like, even if we don't know that we are doing citizen journalism, it's just growing a lot, but it's not curated. Like, it doesn't, people are not empowered or trained to do that. So for me, it's more like, it's not a matter of blocking some perspectives or opinions or whatever. I mean, of course, that's another topic, but there's difference between opinions and news. But it's not about blocking it. It's more about, I mean, for fake news, of course, but it's more about learning how to consume it, basically, and learning how to produce it.
And just to follow up, the problem with this much so many tools to propagate information, it will bring us to the next topic, that is fake news. That there's a huge bubble around this. But David,
well, in my opinion, let's see, when you are running a social platform, regardless of its size, like us, for instance.
By the way, congratulations about having 4 million users on your platform.
Thank you very much.
So David has a social media with 4 million people in it. Okay, so this question is especially for you, because maybe there is a time that you should decide what people can promote or not. Will you make that decision?
Yeah, exactly. That's my point, Jose. When you're running a place where a lot of people pass through somehow, for doing whatever you want these guys to do in there, you have a big responsibility. And to me, that's the point. And you have to have principles for what you want your people to do in there. You cannot be equidistant in this. Okay, you cannot say, hey, this is just a platform. I'm just allowing the people to pass through. That's not you're not being neutral. You cannot be neutral, absolutely neutral on that. Okay, you have to set a very clear set of principles. For instance, it's very clear that you cannot allow porn in your platform if you are not a porn site. Okay. But to me, your principles have to be much further than porn and things like that. And for instance, with the fake news is something that it's really clear. You cannot say, I don't care if there is a guy here insulting people or using bad words or this guy would be banned in a matter of seconds, and that's exactly the same for me, Jose, with the fake news. And I don't care if it's the president of the United States or whoever. It's something that a platform has to be pretty clear, and the principles, the declaration of principles, have to be the manifesto that every platform has to be pretty clear from the very beginning. So if fucking Donald Trump wants to say the whites are better than the blacks, I would say, okay, but the next time you say it, you are banned.
Don't say it here, right?
Exactly, because to us, for instance, to the people team, people is like our house. We want our house to be the house of everyone, but this is our rules. In my house, you cannot offend anyone. If you don't like it, don't be here, because this is not the place for you to offend anyone. Okay, but if you do it, you are fired. Yeah. And that's pretty clear. And when you are as big as these platforms are, like Twitter or Facebook or wherever, I don't know what they're waiting for. It's just.
Yeah, I agree with you there, David. I think about that a lot. At least when you have some media exposure, and especially if you have some a strong opinion, you will always have haters. And in my case, every time someone posts something hateful or something, like you're full of shit or something like that, I delete it. And sometimes I have people saying, "Oh, you deleted my comment," blah blah blah, and I'm like, if you came to my house and you did a graffiti on the wall, I will paint it again. So if you want to say shit in your own house. Don't come to my house to say shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Those were all really good points, but I want to elaborate a little bit further and ask you about the gray zone, because there is a gray zone. There is a zone where things could offend people. They are still opinions entitled to free speech. So what do you do in that case?
I think it's actually very simple. So first we need to, what I will say, I feel that it's so obvious, but people keep confusing it. So one thing is news, another thing is opinion columns. And so first, the news have to be backed up with truth and fact check and all of this, and and you can say that it can be neutral, but it's the truth in there. An opinion, when you have that column on your website or journal, you can write whatever you want. And for me, it's really like you can write whatever you want. The thing is, I believe, or in my personal opinion, that media platforms and journals should have their values as transparent as possible. Like here, for example, at, I don't know, Observador, we believe that this and that. Or at, I don't know, Public, we believe this and that. And we are, I don't know, like pro-LGBT, or we are progressive, or we are against racism and all of this. And so if you have like, if you just put there, you gain the right to deny an opinion article, because it's basically, you can say this violates the values that I have put it in public,
Let me make you a follow-up question. But don't you believe that will isolate people? Because look at the United States. They have actually did something like that. You have like CNN and you have Fox News. Okay, Fox News and an entire propaganda of more conservative, and CNN has an entire more liberal agenda. And the conservatives do not watch CNN. And the guys that watch CNN do not watch Fox News. So what happens is that people go into their ecosystems and they will feed the information. And this will not strike the main concern that everybody has, that is information. So by doing so, how do we solve the problem? This is a really complex question, okay? And there is no straight.
No. Sorry, indeed, it's very easy.
Exactly. I believe it's very easy.
You're talking about traditional media. The point is that if you have only two options to get informed, to be informed, you are in a bloody trouble. You know,
Yeah.
the point, as Fred said before, is that you have to hear other voices other than yours.
Yeah.
Of course, if you only watch TV and you only get information about the newspapers, you're really fucked. You know, because your capacity to be informed is really very limited. The point is that I'm myself, when I go to Twitter, I force myself to read opinions which are absolutely different than mine. I can distinguish who of these guys are just throwing bullshit and who are just different opinions than mine. And I have to make an effort to read these guys, and my personal effort is to try to see what truth are these guys chasing. You know, why they are saying, why they think this way. Okay, and this is a very, I think, democratic exercise that we all should do. I don't care if you don't do it like this, but the point is that what you cannot expect you cannot wait for yourself to be, hey, I'm a good, well informed guy because I just see CNN or Fox News. I don't care, you know.
Yeah.
And again, sorry, Fred, go.
Say, Carolina, say it. Go ahead.
No, I was just thinking, and again, we are talking about opinions, because what is right is that Fox and CNN, when they are delivering the news must be the same because it's the truth and must be neutral. Then you have opinions, and if the news are not the same, something is kind of wrong with it, and we have to start being. That's why Tipping Up exists. Like, we have to start being media activists as well and make media accountable, because the news shouldn't be different because it's just the news. One thing happens and that's the truth. And then opinions, I'm okay with people who have an opinion, a more conservative opinion, only are watching Fox and the other ones are only watching CNN. But it's the thing, they know, like, I know that I'm watching Fox because I have this kind of opinion.
Yeah,
the problem,
but
let me just go there.
Yeah, go ahead.
The problem
Sure.
with I think we all agree that the news needs to be fact checked. Regarding opinions, that's where I would say it's more a gray area, because you can have your own opinion, and I can believe that the Earth is flat, for example, but that doesn't hurt anyone. When I start having opinions and having hateful speech, that's really different. So I'm not sure. I would love to hear your opinions about this. But when does the line between freedom of speech begins and ends with hateful speech? Because I mean, if we forbid people to be naked on the street, for example, which is a sort of media, like people are seeing this person naked, what should we forbid? If something should be forbidden from people saying online, because hateful speech, I mean, we all know that the pillar of democracy, at least one of them, is free speech. But at the same time, free speech can come with a lot of bad things. So I don't have the answers, but I think that's the gray area.
Well, there is one really good opinion from Stealing Video that said freedom versus responsibility. Basically, if you want to say anything that you want to say, handle with the consequences. So we're talking, and he also made the question that is, we're talking about the USA, but what European and Portuguese media. And the reason, also just to follow up, also the reason why I made that question, it was because this happens with the traditional media. So basically CNN and Fox News. If we bring this, like if Facebook just decides, okay, no more conservative stuff, it will become like a landfill of people that supports one. So I think that is the balance. And all of your opinions are really good. Like Fred said, it's really hard to have a solution with.
Right.
So Yeah, but tell me your intakes about your opinion now about the European and slash Portuguese Spanish media. So how do you think that we are on that sector here?
Yeah, if I can start there, let me just be honest. I think the traditional media have their incentive is very clear, and it's not their fault. I think most journalists are not bad people. They are
Yeah.
just incentivized wrongly because they, at the end of the day, most of them are not even break even because of new media and everything. So it's hard for them to make a profit, and so they have a lot of pressure from their managers, that have a lot of pressure from their investors to turn a profit, and they know that it's basic human psychology. What sells is fear. I mean, if you say that tomorrow is going to be a great sunset, people don't buy the newspaper. But if you say tomorrow
Mhm.
the asteroid is coming, people will buy the newspaper. So all the media are incentivized, all the journalists are incentivized to make us be fearful about everything possible. And so I personally, I don't watch the news. Everything that is important eventually will come to me. So at least in my position, in my company, and in my context, I don't need it. Maybe some people need to watch it because of their own context, but I choose to not watch the news because I know that they are not there to inform me. They are there just to startle me, and I will not do that. I don't know if you guys agree.
Yeah, I also agree. I read the news, but so
Yeah.
Carolina.
Um, yeah. So I think it's for me. I feel that one is a little bit more complex, but it's more like I feel how it's basically we need. So I think the news industry, the journalism shouldn't depend on profit, and um, and that's and there's two things on that. So one is I believe that we should start having media literacy in our schools. So we should start learning to watch the news. It sounds very dumb, but actually, like you need to start um, just looking for like the 360 perspective and start learning how to watch the news. And second, so one, you need to educate people and empower people, and second, I really think that state should very quickly change the legislation about media, and because it's just outdated and um, and 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 basically that's it. Like we need to support media are not living from shouldn't and are not anymore in Portugal living from sponsorships and stuff like that. That went everything like the traditional media. That went everything to the new media influencers, advocate marketing, and all of that. And
How will you
and
fund it? I'm
so they,
curious. Uh, are you
what
defending like that the state should fund the media, like traditional media?
I think that at least it should help. For example, in the legislation, you as a media company, you are a company, and I really think that you should have like I don't know how to say, but like a legal term or whatever that you are a non-profit company or have at least the help as the same support and benefits that the non-profits have in Portugal, and not like competing with the companies, like the for-profit companies.
Oh,
Um,
okay, I see. You are basically telling that the well, you should you a social media kind of social media that does not have an idea of having profit. So basically a non-profit. Okay, and that should be regulations there.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, yeah,
Interesting.
we are having some very good things going on here in Spain because the traditional, for example, in the newspapers, digital or in paper, I don't care. They are in hands of the big banks and the big corporations right now. Okay, the newspapers that we read just 10 years ago, 12 years ago, and now there are a new kind of newspapers which are not in the hands of the banking and the corporation sectors, but in the hands of their subscribers. Okay, and it's been very very interesting, because this is a real serial bullshit policy. They don't. They are just linked to their manifesto, to their say ideology, wherever it is. Okay, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if you are in the right or in the left. What I do want, if you say these are my principles, this is the way I view the world. Okay, get subscribed to that media and read that. It's okay for me. But when you are not in the hands of one single guy saying, "Hey, this is not good for me. This is this. Don't you talk about this news?" Or to me, I don't care if you in this regard, if you feel you are from the right wing, you want to read that kind of newspaper. It's okay for me. But to me, the problem is that you are reading something that the boards of administrators of one company decided for you to read.
Yeah,
That's the problem.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's
Hmm.
very very. We are in
Yeah,
big danger.
and it shouldn't depend on the companies that are running the media. Like it's public service.
So we're going to have elections in Portugal next year. Okay.
Mm.
And how can these new media business models that we are talking about, like interpersonal communicational, digital environment, help to make the difference for civic engagement and positive clash of ideas? Basically, people, the next elections in the next couple of years are going to be really funny to watch because more and more people will go more to the social networks, to this new media, to make their propaganda and their marketing and so on. Let's not call it propaganda. Usually they will make their agenda, especially the smallest ones, okay, because usually everything that is more extremist starts small and go big really fast. Do you see that as a way to impulsionate, to boost this in Portugal? Well, we are seeing it right now. But...
Yeah, I have actually a strong opinion there. Just regarding one thing, we had the elections. What was it, like a year ago, maybe 6 months ago, and it was impressive to see that the politicians in Portugal, they don't know how to use social media. I was not impacted once by their campaigns on social media. If I got out of the house and I went in my car somewhere, I could see the billboards, but I am not impacted by them on social media. And so, uh, and on our last elections, I think we had the biggest, how do you say it in English, abstention
Yeah.
Hmm.
ever, right? And so for me, it's like the politicians need to be able, if they really want to if we really want to have a country that has people voting, the politicians need to communicate on the platforms where the attention of those people are. And
Hmm.
our attention is not on the first channels on television. And so, at least here in Portugal, I don't know in Spain, but I would say that there's for one thing is that politicians, they need to go to social media and they need to do it well, and they are not the ones that are going to figure it out, so they need to hire younger teams to do that because they are the ones that know how to do it. I mean, I'm 26, my sister is 18, and what she does on TikTok, I cannot even it's just it's a whole new thing. And so that's one thing. And I would say, as you were saying, Jose, that this brings a lot of opportunity to the underdogs and to people that want to make change, but they don't have the big bucks to go onto either billboards or national television or something like that. So that for me, at least as an entrepreneur, the best use of social media is for business, because I mean we can impact people's lives so much easier by either with organic contact or ads, and going directly to the people that we want to impact. And politics will be the same. Whatever our target demographic is, social media will be the best platform for sure to impact them. So I would say that that is mandatory, not even an option.
Yeah.
David.
Yeah, definitely. And
Carolina.
basically, sorry. We already have examples of that, and Trump is one of them. I mean, Cambridge Analytica was a whole huge social media campaign, basically, to put it in a simple way. So yeah, I just media is, or social media in this case, it's again part of what our lives are right now. And the great thing about social media is how it gave voice to voiceless people, but at the same time, it gives us that power, and it gives us power. And so I really think that we have, like, everyone has to learn how to use it, basically, like from the politicians, even to ourselves. Like with the Blackout Tuesday, I was seeing a lot of posts, and there's effective ways to protest online, to have impact online, and people were just not doing it in the right way because they don't know how to do it. And same for politicians, and same for campaigners, or for mobilizers, or whatever. So yeah, so definitely, like, it's they need to be where people are, wherever their opinions are, left or right, doesn't matter. But they need to improve on that. And in the same way, it's very important that we also improve. Like, we also, Instagram, it's not that thing that we were posting, photos a couple of years ago. It just grew so much, and we really have to relearn how to use it, basically.
Yeah. So David, do you want to give your opinion?
When I was listening to you, I was thinking about something that we discovered when we started with Peoople. As you may know, we work a lot with influencers, and we learned a lot about them. And we discovered something at the very beginning of the project, which was pretty interesting, which was the difference between an influencer and a celebrity. And it was a pretty tricky point, because we discovered that influencers indeed have been existing all our lives, okay? But when the social media platforms erupted in our lives, there were a few influencers that joined the social media and start to communicate the same way. But there were another type of famous guys that weren't able to adapt themselves to the new environment. So these guys started to be called celebrities, and the others started to be called influencers. And that's something that, in my view, is happening with the politicians. They've got a very difficult relationship with the social media platforms in general. They cannot adapt themselves to that new format. And they do these very weird and nerd strange things. Like suddenly the candidate for president of the government has 400,000 followers from 3 months. Where these guys from? They are Turkish or Chinese or from Bulgaria. This is really fake. So I really would like. I really agree with what Fred was saying. I really would like a candidate who is really, who's living in the. It's something. We can say a lot of bad words, but a lot of bad things about Donald Trump. But there is one very interesting thing about he really lives in the social media. Twitter is his channel. It's awful the use that he's doing about it. Sorry, the messages, but the use is really amazing because it's his voice. You are listening. It's not. The other day he said something very interesting. He said somebody asked him about something that Joe Biden was saying, and he said, Joe Biden doesn't think like this. It was a trainee in the communication of his campaign, and he's right. He's right. Can't imagine Joe Biden tweeting like
Yeah.
five times a day, "fucking the world," But he does, and this is very, very interesting for me. So I would like to have more politicians in that way,
Yeah.
like Donald Trump, and that will be definitely the moment where, not my generation because I'm older than you, but the younger generation could get access to that messages, because if they don't do it, they don't transform the communication like that, you will
Yeah.
just be talking to the people from 35, 40 to
Yeah, and David,
So
and
yeah, go
Zach,
ahead.
can I just compliment
Yeah,
here?
of course.
Yeah, I think what you're saying, it proves the point that I think it's the most simple thing that, so people, some people argue if social media is good or bad, and social media is completely neutral. It's just a form of
Yeah.
communication. Like we used to do smoke signals. Somebody invented language. Now we have social media, and it's neutral. So in the end, if social media is bad, is because human beings are being bad. And so I think that what needs to be fixed is not social media, but human beings. And
Yeah,
so I will
that's
say that education
Sure.
is where it all begins.
I 100% agree with Fred
Yeah.
here. I think it
Yeah.
also. I think it definitely starts on education. Definitely starts there. Well, actually, everything starts there. I was having a huge discussion the other day, because there is like It was one of my closest friend, and we're talking about racism and everything that's going on, and this will be the next topic. And he was telling me something like, yeah, but there are more crimes in the black community and so on. And I was like, yeah, but if that happens, it's because they did not have the same opportunities that we had. And
Yeah.
like from the old Greece, that we learned that if we give the same opportunity to everyone, criminality will decrease. This is obvious. And I was having that discussion, and I was like, yeah, but that happens because we are actually like, somehow in our society we are racist, and we must accept this to improve. That is the only way that we should do it. If we accept, let's not like let's not close one eye and watch with the other. Let's like open both eyes and say, like, in front of everybody, we have a problem in our society and we need to solve it. And it starts in social media. It starts with all of us. And Carolina, back to you. You are exactly doing that with what you support. Do you want to speak a little bit about that?
About what? About the education
Yeah.
and racism, or
No, about what you're doing on all LGBTQ community and so on, things that you are supporting, because that's really important, and we go from there to what's happening on the world.
yeah, sure. So yeah, I was right about to just build on top of what David was saying about he wished that more politicians use social media like as one of the key strategies, and just use it a lot because social media are social, and so we, as we use better. And I was just right about to say that I wish more organizations and movements and activists will do that as well, and that's the way, like social media, as Fred said, is neutral, but then it's as you give more voice to one side, you will hear more about that side, and same goes the other way around. So I feel that social media is something that, like, it has to stop being that small department with one person in the activist collectives, and that person, the only thing he or she does is to post an image about what they are doing. It's not like media activism. It's not about that. It's really about it's not to use media, not something as you use on the side, but something that is strategic for you. And it's just proven that I have been building global campaigns online to offline, and it's just proven the impact that you can create with basically with mobile journalism or online to offline campaigning or awareness campaigns for LGBTQ or for Black Lives Matter or whatever. Like he or she grew up, like he or she started as a digital campaign. Basically, it's like from one speech of Emma Watson, it just spread all over, and it became a movement. And now it's spread all over the world, and it happens offline every day in the universities. So it's something with real impact in real life, and yeah, and as I was saying, like even for example, for these the Black Lives Matter and George Floyd,
Yeah.
I wrote a post explaining some stuff about how to protest online, and there's different things like how you shouldn't have the black image covering all the images about the protest with the Black Lives Matter hashtag. You should use it on the oppressor hashtags to block their own things, and you have ways to and to protest online, and it's very effective actually. And even like Sean King, I think you probably know him, I don't know, like the journalist, and he also like spread a message saying for everyone to call the department or to text the department, and they were having like 500 calls every minute, and it was just overwhelming. And that's how they actually started doing, having some pressure on the process of the 4 policemen.
Yeah.
It's amazing because you can be here sitting in Europe and actually use your privilege to give voice to people in the other side of the world who usually don't have that space. So it's just that it's really like we have to start looking at it as not nice to have or something that we do on the side, but something that it's part of our lives and is as important as voting, basically.
Yeah.
That reminds me of like some executives when they say, oh, I think we really need to start social media. They say it's the future, and you're like, no, you're just living in the past. It's already here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's not the
exactly.
future. It's happening.
Yeah, definitely. And as Carolina said, it's as important as voting, because if we have a voice, we should use it. Or should use it for good. So that's a really, thank you for doing that. And I really hope that more people like you appears and like bring all
Everyone can be like me. I mean, I'm just using social media.
No, exactly. But you are pushing an agenda, and it's an important agenda, and we should like tell this out loud, okay? And support you by doing so, and by supporting you with sharing your message and doing everything around it. So, David, I have a question for you, and I'll jump into that theme. To that theme that is what's happening right now. The hot topic on social media is racism. Like let's talk a little bit about Spain. Do you believe there is racism in Spain? And I believe that racism is everywhere. So I need to be really, really careful from what I'm saying. But do you see it? And if you ever seen it, well, all of us, it's really like it's really tricky to speak about this because we are all in a position. We are not on their position. Okay, so we should try to understand and help in some way. So tell me your intake. Do you see it? Do you?
It's a tricky question, Jose. As I said before, I don't think we can be equidistant in certain points in life. I wouldn't. I could say to you, I don't think there is a problem of racism in here, and a general problem. Okay, there are of course focuses in places where there are situations of racism. But if you get a little bit higher, I think we are all a little bit racist when we don't care about the problem, you know.
Mm.
If I think about myself, I was thinking about myself. I've got 3 kids, and I was the other day telling to them about the situation. They are 10, 8, and 5 years old, so the explanation has to be a little bit. But I was trying to emphasize the problem, and the message was you cannot say I don't care. You know, I am not racist because I never faced the problem. It's something that
Mhm.
before you can do things. I may say I was a racist because I did nothing, you know, to improve anything. I just say, well, things are okay, and you cannot be, as I said before, equidistant in certain points. So I don't know if I can say about myself. I feel guilty for that because maybe we cannot, all of us, unfortunately, be activists as maybe I would like to be a little bit more. But we do have, we all of us have the responsibility of care for it, you know, regardless of the way you canalize that concern. Okay,
Mhm.
so I just would like everyone to be a little bit more concerned. And if when I see that, if there is a moment when I see that, I would say, well, we are not really racist because we care about the problem. The problem is that we think that that we don't have the problem here. And it's in part it's
Yeah.
true because we are. It's not like you. If I go, when I go to Lisbon, I see a lot of black people, you know, and this is not in Spain. It's very rare that you, in Madrid, for instance, it's very rare that you see nothing but white guys and girls, of course. But I don't know. But we have another problems. You know, we have another problems very similar to the basics of the racism. So, did you do something about this? Did you ever try? Did you move a single finger to solve that other problems? So the problem, I think, is not if you are racist or not. The problem is if you care or not. You know.
Yeah, and can I build on that? It's just that you can have like, even if you don't have even one citizen that it's racist in your country, you can have a racist country because like the system is racist. So basically, you have, like, you can live in a country where everyone is not racist, it's anti-racism, and actually the country itself is racist because and so we from an awareness point, assuming that not everyone is anti-racism, but from that to everyone being anti-racism, there's still work to do because the system itself is racist. Like from the neighborhood where you grow up to the schools that you have access to, everything, the quality of education and everything.
Yeah, and in Portugal,
sorry, Jose. It's a point to me. It's a matter of values.
yeah,
The racism is one expression, is one vision of this lack of values. The other can be if I don't know, if I say male are better than women, or if I say rich guys are better than poor guys, or the other way around. It's a matter of values. You know.
yeah,
If I would like the Spanish society to be with those values.
yeah,
in
and
general terms.
just to add, David, in Portugal we had a case of racism that was Marega, a player from Futebol Clube do Porto, a couple of months ago, where he was actually, you know, he left the. I think probably Fred and Carolina remember this, when the player from Porto he left the field because of racist comments from the public, and this is happening like a couple of months ago. No, and I'm hearing some guys in Portugal saying that no, Portugal's not racist. I'm like, yes, we are, and we should not be afraid to talk about this. Like you are saying, you should be able to talk with our kids and explain them, like in the best way possible, that this is wrong. And just because, you know, like Carolina said, the streets and the country could be racist in this culture, you know, in these expressions, in a lot of things. We are the generation that we need to understand that this happens to make a change. So it all starts when we know that this is a problem, and it starts from here forward. And we should not be afraid to go for this change. Carolina and David and Fred, do you want to elaborate more?
I will just say, adding on what Carolina was saying, that you can have people might not be racist, but you can have a country that is racist, or organizations that are racist. I really believe that in the end, we just need to question things more, because what we do is that we grow up and we are completely conditioned and indoctrinated by a whole set of beliefs. And if we do not question those beliefs, uh, they become our own beliefs, and they become invisible to us, and they look real, but they are an illusion. Like I did a post today on Instagram saying that the things that we fight for, countries, races, they don't exist. They only exist in our imagination. But we there are strategies for us to cooperate, like for example countries, but we fight for things that they are not even real. And so I would say that we need to start questioning the status quo, because all progress comes from questioning the status quo. Like, questioning is the beginning of awakening. We need to question it. And so I will say that as a society, we should encourage more in education and in every manner possible, for people to question what they learn. Because if I grow, and we were talking about access to opportunities, if I grow up in a house and everyone is racist and everyone teaches me that black people are stupid and ugly and dumb, when I get to 20, 25 years old, I will believe that they are dumb, because I did not question. So I would say that we need to encourage people to question, and then to I never get the point about tradition. With this is the traditional way of doing it. I mean, if it's a traditional way, let's question it. And we can either we can have two outputs. One, it's amazing, let's continue doing it. The other one is maybe this law that was passed 100 years ago doesn't make any sense anymore.
Yeah.
So I think we need to really question how we operate, and only then we will build progress.
So let me say thank you for being here and for being such an amazing guest. This is I just want to add that this will be my last podcast. The future season it will be with Allison. That is much better than me.
I hope you enjoyed then.
Yeah, definitely. What I was going to say is that it's like I had the opportunity to do these live streams, and I met you, all of you, and other guests in the last podcast. And one of the things that I mostly enjoy, it's meeting you. It's not like we have metrics, how many people are watching it, how many people comment, interact, and so on. But I as one of the lucky guys that had the opportunity to speak with you guys and learn from you. So thank you, and thank you to everybody that is on every single podcast. Thank you to the entire Beta team. Martina, that is like the one that basically make all of things, all of these things happening. Thank you to Gabs. Thank you to Madalena. Really special thank to Allison that writes everything that I'm asking you. Basically, I'm Allison voice, and I would love to read everything that he writes, but sometimes I just lost myself. So thank you to everyone. It's been a pleasure. And David, Carolina, and Fred, I couldn't ask for a better group of people to finish this. And thank you so much for being here. And I really hope to see you all one day in present when all of this goes away. And you are all invited to come to Beta, have a coffee, have fun, and I don't know, do another podcast and Insta stories. Let's change social media. Let's go from YouTube to Instagram. I don't know. I hope to see you all. And thank you so much. Any last words?
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I love this.
See you soon.
Thank you.
And I'm glad that you became younger with the podcasts.
Yeah. Basically, I shaved, so everybody's watching me go younger every podcast. So it's I look younger. So thank you, Fred, for pointing that out. It's really important for people to understand that. Thank you so much. And it's really nice to finish with a smile. Goodbye. Cheers.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.